get ready.
This is the voice of Wayne America.
Lighten up, Francis.
With your host,
Hi-ho, Kermit the Frog here.
Mike Carnes.
How do you measure yourself with other golfers?
By height.
Only at WayneAmerica.com.
The supernova's gonna kill us all.
Okay, this guy is the real zero, that's true. Let's just think back when you guys were freshmen, huh?
.com.
Greetings from Wayne America. This is the Voice of Wayne America podcast, an exclusive here on WayneAmerica.com. I'm your host, Mike Carnes, and every week here on the Voice of Wayne America podcast, we sit down with somebody who has some kind of connection to the community of Wayne, whether it's a local resident or a former resident, or somebody who has some kind of tie to the community, and we'll sit down and talk about their specific interest here in town and how it best fits with the best town in all of America, and that, of course, is right here in Wayne America. And we want to thank our sponsors for the program, including AKA 142 Media. Your business can also be mentioned here. You can email Mike at MikeyCProductions.com for more information. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and if you've followed me over the years at the Wayne Herald and know of my personal situation with that, I'm a survivor of sexual assault, an incident that happened when I was a little boy growing up in Newman Grove, Nebraska, which is about a little over an hour away from Wayne. It's an experience that has been with me throughout my youth and my adult life as well, and so it's an issue that is very important to me. And as a member of the Haven House Board of Directors, this is kind of a very busy month for the people here at Haven House. And I wanted to sit down this week and talk with Josh Sievers. He's the outreach coordinator for Haven House and has been very busy raising awareness on Sexual Assault Awareness Month and getting some things together for a very nice program that's going to be set up at Wayne State College later this month. And I will actually be speaking at that conference next week at Wayne State College. But I thought I would bring Josh in here because Josh is the guy that's been doing all the legwork to get this thing going. And Josh, I just welcome to the program first off. And I know that it's been a very busy month, being Sexual Assault Awareness Month for you and everybody here at Haven House.
Yep. Good morning, Mike. Happy to be here this morning and so excited for this month because we have a lot of things planned going on for Sexual Assault Awareness Month, along with just already everything we do. So. Do you want me to dive in and start talking about what we got going on? Well, so today is actually a pretty packed day for us. We're actually going to be at Wayne High School this afternoon. Okay. And by the time I'm guessing people hear this interview, they'll probably hopefully they'll be hearing good things about the assembly program. And we're going to be going up there with one of our volunteer survivors and talking about unhealthy relationships and talking about the signs and then also how to get help. And then our survivor, she talks about how the relationship she went through, how that affected her, and how she eventually decided to leave that relationship, and how she went about it, going about it. So pretty excited for that. And then tonight, we actually are doing a free showing of the Hunting Ground up at the Wayne State College campus in Ramsey Theater. And that's probably going to be passed by the time you guys hear about this. But the good news is, April 20th at 6:30 and 9 p.m., we're going to be doing 2 showings of a movie called Audrey and Daisy, which deals with how sexual assault crosses with social media, and the phrase at the bottom of the movie is "shame is trending," and how that plays a role in how people treat people who have been sexually assaulted and were maybe misused through social media. One of the girls I know, they did a lot of bad things to her, took pictures and shared it throughout all the high school, and the girl ends up committing suicide. So, sort of her story along with some other survivor stories. So those are two. So we got those 2 movies going on, and then April 30th, we just have some spots open for this, but we're packed. But we had some people that won't be able to make it. We're doing a self-defense class called Not Today, and so that's going to be. We're partnering with the Wayne Martial Arts Center to hold that. And it's going to basically be a self-defense class. At the end of the night, our goal is that you can walk out and you'll be able to defend yourself if ever you end up in a situation, or at least have the tools and some of the know-how. So that's called Not Today. And the thing that I think is funny is because people are probably going to be like, not today? What does that mean? And it's actually based off this lady. She was jogging up in San Francisco or Seattle, and she had just taken the self-defense class. And so she was on her morning jog and went into the bathroom there at the park, and a guy followed her into the bathroom and attempted to rape her. And since she had just taken self-defense class, all the things that she had taken started coming back to mind. And as she fought off her attacker, she was yelling at him, "Not today," and then insert expletive there, and screaming at this guy and just putting up a fight. She went all in, and that's one of the biggest things when you're going to defend yourself. You got to go all in. Either you got to run or you go all in, one of the two. And she went all in. She managed to escape from him. She ended up with a few bruises. I guess he turned out worse, though, at the end of it. And she got out of the bathroom, managed to lock him in the bathroom. Cops show up and basically go, "Whoa, alrighty, good job."
Yeah.
And so they were pretty surprised by how well she had defended herself and was able to not only defend herself, but also minimize the threat at that time.
Now, you talked about this assembly that you're doing at Wayne High School. That is the assembly's happening before this program hits the website. But I know you guys have done some other assemblies at other schools in the 5-county area that you cover. And Haven House covers not only Wayne County, but also Cedar, Dixon, Thurston, and Dakota County. So you've had an opportunity to kind of go out to some other schools. What are some of the reactions you've gotten from some of the other schools with the assemblies that you've had?
So far the response has been great. Usually at the end of our assemblies we have some type of call to action where basically we know when we leave it's then in the students' hands. And every time, like, the response to the call of action has been amazing. So we know that we're having an effect, and basically from all the feedback we've heard from outside the schools, our director has even had, we went to the school that her kids go to, and afterwards some of the other parents were like, "Hey, I heard Haven House was at our school today, and my kids loved it." So it definitely makes an impact. We talk about relationships, we do it in an engaging way, because we're not there to bore the kids, we're there to, like, engage with them and, hopefully leave them with something to where when they do encounter an unhealthy relationship, they can go, "Hey, that's not for me." But then we also bring along our survivor. She shares her story. A lot of the kids connect with her. So that's been pretty awesome to see. So I'd say ultimately, like, everything that we've heard has been great with our assembly program. And our assemblies are free of charge to anyone in our service area. So that can be schools. We also can come out and do talks to churches, to youth groups. You name it, your workplace, we can come and do trainings on sexual assault, domestic violence, all those kinds of things we can come and do. So, but all our presentations and everything are all free of charge. Basically, we want to create awareness and give people the tools they need to live a healthy life.
Yeah, and you talk about domestic violence, something that we're seeing. I think it's something that's been going on for a long time, and sexual assault as well. And I think the opportunity for something, programs like this, it really helps raise awareness and really drags it out of the darkness. I think that's the big thing is being able to drag these crimes out of the darkness, because the perpetrators of these crimes rely on that darkness to keep things under the covers and not allow it to be out in public for people to see. And I think having some of these programs that have been going on are a great tool to help counteract that.
Definitely, because when you go about your everyday life, I know before I worked at Haven House, you just think you're going on with your life, and, like, if you're not in it, you don't really think about it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, but here at Haven House, we see people every day that are going through domestic violence situations, sexual assault situations. So it definitely does happen here in Northeast Nebraska, which is, it's bad, but I'm glad that we're here to be able to help people, help meet that need, help them restart their lives, and live their lives violence-free.
You think about the statistics. I know that you did recently did a kind of a I don't know what you call it out there at the college with all the shoes out there and everything. But if you go out to Wayne State College, there is a kind of a display out in the middle of the campus there, and the display is basically a bunch of randomly placed men's and women's shoes, and the shoes designate a sexual assault survivor, and the I guess the understanding is that 1 in 6 women and 1 in 33 men have been sexually assaulted. And if you go back to even before the age of 18, 1 in 4 girls, 1 in 6 boys. So those are amazing statistics, and it's really kind of neat to see those shoes out there to kind of document how many how many college women and how many college men on campus have been sexually assaulted in their lifetime. And when you see these shoes, you just see these shoes like, well, there's some kind of a party here and everybody went home barefoot. But but in actuality, those shoes are a very significant display of the impact that sexual assault has on the kids on our college campus here.
And the one thing that we really did with that display was we wanted geared specifically towards the college. So we took like the enrollment rate of the college, and we figured out how many men and how many women attend the college. Then we took statistically what's seen state to state and nationwide, took those stats and basically compared them. And so it's 44 men that either have been or are at risk of sexual assault on Wayne State College campus, and 320 women that have been or at risk for sexual assault on Wayne State College campus. So that's like statistically and historically what has been seen nationwide. And the really bad part is that it's a lot of people, when they go through those kind of situations, there's a lot of shame and a lot of stigma built around those things to where people don't want to get the help they need to go through that. And that's why I'm glad we're here. And one of the displays we're hoping to start up here soon is we're working on a theme called, like, you don't have to walk this alone. Basically, like, if you've been sexually assaulted, you don't got to walk it alone.
Exactly.
You don't got to keep that secret hidden, that shame hidden. You can come and talk to an advocate. They can help walk you through the process, even if you just want to talk. Everything we do here is free and confidential. So that's one thing I love, is that even if people are like, just need something to vent off, like, I've been through this, I just want to get off my chest, it's totally free and confidential here.
Yeah. You mentioned those numbers there on Wayne State College campus. That's about 360 some kids, college kids that have been or potentially can be sexually assaulted. And you think on a campus of about 3,000 students, that's 10% of the school population right there. And then just to kind of throw in some numbers that I've used in some of the talks that I've given. I talked to a lot of high schools, and one of the things I mentioned is that Centers for Disease Control study, 1 in 4 girls, 1 in 6 boys are sexually assaulted before their age of 18. Like you, I took those ratios and applied them to the entire K-12 student enrollment of the state of Nebraska, and that when you throw those numbers together, you have enough to almost fill Memorial Stadium on the campus of the University of Nebraska. It's a number near 80,000 people that have been sexually. These are just kids that in Nebraska that have been sexually assaulted. We're not even talking about adults who have gone through that crime. So it's a crime that is much more prevalent, I think, than we realize or that we're led to believe. And so events like this during Sexual Assault Awareness Month that Josh is working on is stuff that's going on that's really helping bring that information out. We're talking with Josh Sievers, the outreach coordinator here at Haven House, and I wanted to take a moment to answer the question, what does AKA in AKA 142 Media stand for? Well, it stands for many things, but the most important thing is that AKA 142 Media produces awesome, kickin' apps that can be downloaded to your phone or your tablet. Whether it's your school, your favorite sports program, or your local business, AKA 142 Media can build an awesome, kickin' app that meets your needs. Drop Kevin an email at kevin at aka142.com and tell him that Mike sent you. That's AKA 142 Media, awesome, kickin' apps. Talking with Josh Sievers, the outreach coordinator for Haven House, and a big program coming up at Wayne State College. You've already talked about a movie that's being shown there that actually is being shown the day that we're taping this on Monday. But I got another movie coming up later in the month. But the thing we wanted to really focus on was a program that's going to be going on Wednesday, April 19th there at the Student Center on the campus of Wayne State College. Got a lot of great information and presentations going on. I will preface this by saying that I'm one of the presenters at the program, so and really looking forward to doing that. But tell me a little bit about the program and what you hope you hope to accomplish with this event on the 19th.
So on April 19th, there's going to be a wellness fair held up in Fry Conference Suite from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. and by one of the student groups up there on campus. But then they've also invited us to, they've reserved a room for us to bring in some survivors and everything. So at 11 o'clock, we're going to be having one of our survivors. She actually comes up to our school assemblies. Her name's Deborah, and she's going to be sharing about her dating violence situation and how it escalated and how she got out of it. So, so she's going to be talking about all the excess signs that she saw along the way. in that relationship. And then at 11:30, we got Mike here. He's going to be coming up and talking about his experience. And if you haven't read his book, definitely check that out. It's called "Call Me a Survivor." And if I'm correct, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for the plug. I appreciate that.
But definitely check out his book. And then at 12:30, I'm actually going to be up there speaking. I'm going to be sharing some of the stories of some of the different things we've seen here at Haven House, as much as we can anyways. We have confidentiality things where we can't talk about some stuff, but we can share some of our experiences, some of the different things we see, some of the different people that we've helped, to an extent, of course. But I think it's going to be really great. I was actually just up on college the other day talking with a classroom about 40 students, and after I got done, this one lady comes up to me and basically says, "Whoa, you took me back to my relationships and back to when I was living in the shelter," and because she had been through domestic violence situations as well. And so you never know. Like when you look at a crowd of people, you never know if there's going to be a survivor there, whether it be sexual assault or domestic violence. Because people have stories, people have histories, people come from all different kinds of places.
You bet.
And just because it's rural Nebraska doesn't mean that this doesn't happen here. Last year we saw 255 people walk through our doors that we were able to assist with everything from emergency shelter to protection orders, advocacy, housing assistance, you name it. So basically whatever we could do to help them get their life back on the right track. But April 19th, 11 o'clock, Deborah Schmucker, Dating Violence. 11:30, we're going to have Mike here with sexual assault. And then 12:30, we're going to have myself up there talking about being on the front lines, what we've seen when it comes to domestic violence and sexual assault in northeast Nebraska.
And dating violence is something it's I guess a newer term that really in the last decade or so has really become more. I guess there's been more discussion about it in the past. I think when people think of domestic violence, they think of husband and wife, or two people living together who can't seem to get along or whatever. So dating violence is it's something that's more for the younger generation, I guess. But I guess it can happen in any dating situation. But talk a little bit about some things you're seeing out of the dating violence and the things.
So, I guess one of the biggest things that we've been sort of talking about when we go to schools is healthy relationships. Because we know that if you know what a healthy relationship and an unhealthy one looks like, say, for instance, with currency, you don't study all the counterfeit currencies. You study what, the actual currency looks like. Mm-hmm. So then when you feel something that's fake, you can go, that's fake money. I don't want that. Same thing with relationships. If you know what a healthy relationship is supposed to look like, when the unhealthy ones come, then you go, I don't want that. I want a healthy relationship. And so that's one of the big things to talk about, because we see it escalate over time. Mm-hmm. If you know what an unhealthy relationship looks like, and if only you knew 20 years down the road this is going to turn into full-out domestic violence, or even it could come to some of the cases that do happen in Nebraska, fatalities, or that it either becomes a homicide or a suicide homicide, different things like that. In my own experience, I know people who have had, when they were going to leave a dating situation, the person actually threatened suicide.
Right.
And some of those situations can escalate. It can turn into that. But we want to let people know that watch out for the signs, know what a healthy relationship looks like and what an unhealthy one looks like. And then know that you don't deserve that. Because there's so many different things why people will sort of justify to themselves a lot of why they want to stay in that relationship. And I basically want to say is, what we try to tell people and inspire them with is, what do you want out of a relationship? Is this what you want? Do you want to be in an unhealthy relationship? And I hope you answer no, because then you can get the help and realize that I don't want this. And that's one of the biggest things with our survivor that comes out and speaks with us, is that so she was in an unhealthy relationship. And a lot of times she said she would justify the different things that were happening in the relationship until she started to learn about the signs of dating violence and what it looks like and the fact that it escalates. And she said that she definitely saw it escalate. And then eventually she decided to leave because her friends and family around her were going, this is an unhealthy relationship. You need to get out of this. Mm-hmm. And so if you see the signs when you're dating, then before it gets too serious or it gets too horrible, you can get out and pursue a healthy relationship and not get stuck in that rut of getting being a healthy dating relationship, because dating violence, then if you get married or live together, then eventually it's a lot of times it starts out verbally, then it can turn into emotional, economic abuse, it can turn into physical abuse, and I just hope people can know that they don't have to live their life in fear or live their lives in a way where they're always afraid of the person they're with.
Yeah.
But that they can go and pursue their dreams. They can live a violence-free life. A lot of people, that's all they've ever seen in their lives is how maybe mom and dad treated each other, so they think that's how relationships work. But that's not how they work. And if you know what a healthy relationship looks like, you'll know that's not what they look like. And that's what we want to tell people about, is that healthy relationships, they do exist, and they're real, and you don't need to go out and settle for an unhealthy dating violence kind of relationship.
Yeah, yeah. The one thing about sexual violence and domestic assault, the thing that I guess I've seen over the years is that a lot of times the people who are perpetuating these crimes or doing these crimes are people who have been on the other end of it. I think some of the research I've done for my speaking, I think the number, I have to go back and look again, but I think the number is like 40% of people who commit sexual assault crimes were sexually assaulted themselves. And so it's kind of a circle that continues. They're assaulted, and then they assault, and then that person, and I think I think you see a lot of the same things in dating, relationship, and domestic violence situations. Is that people who are on the wrong end of that, they are in that, but it's something that they have seen, their parents or their the people in their lives go through, and they must think that that's normal. That's their normal, and so getting them to understand that's not normal, and that you can have a healthy relationship. That's sometimes probably the bigger hurdle than the crime itself. Just getting them to realize that there is a different way, or there's a better way, and there's a right way to do this, and not have to, do the circle thing and continue to, do what you've always done and see, because it's all what you've always seen.
Definitely. Like, there's that phrase that sometimes I use when I talk is hurt people, and that doesn't justify the fact that they're hurting others. But that just sort of helps understand, like, the fact that, they need to get the help that they need before they can actually become the person that they will become. Hopefully, as long as they get the help. And that's one of the biggest things when we go and talk about these different things, is that you're not responsible to change that person. Because in a dating violence relationship, because I know people who have said the same thing, where they're like, I thought I could change them, or if I only did this or that, they would change. And that the person never changes, because there's a deeper problem than just what's on the surface.
Yeah.
Like those little things saying, if I change this or that, maybe it'll be different. It's like putting a Band-Aid on like gushing wound. So you need to get down, you need to find that artery, and you're not going to be the one to find that artery. A doctor, like theoretically or metaphorically, needs to come and like suture up that vein. And
Right.
if you don't go to hospital to get help, in a sense, like not saying they're going to hospital, but if the person who's hurting others doesn't get the help they need, like mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all these different areas, then they'll just keep hurting people. And so if I could tell anyone that's in an unhealthy relationship, if they're saying wanting to continue to stay there because they think that they'll change, and that's one of the things our survivor who goes out to assemblies with us, she thought, like, maybe if she just stayed and, like, worked it out, that maybe he would change and she could help him. I'd say it's a very small chance, very like minimal, tiny, almost non-existent chance.
Now is the time to get out. If you think that you can change that person, that's a good time to bail out, because it's not going to happen. It's the odds of it happening are very, very minimal.
Yep. Like, for instance, someone in my own personal life, when they left a domestic violence relationship, I was like, don't go back to him. Like, basically I told her, was like, don't go back to him, because unless there's real substantial, like, I'm all for reconciliation myself, and I love seeing when, like, broken things come back together and they're, like, amazing. But, unless there's, like, real legit, like, he's actually gotten help and there's total change in him, and like you can see it, and everyone around him's going, whoa, this is not the same person we used to know. don't go back. Don't go back. Like,
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest things I'd say would be stick to your guns, and then also in an unhealthy relationship, remember who you are and remember what happens. Don't let your feelings be minimized, because we've seen that everything from sexual assault to domestic violence is where your feelings get minimized, and you go open up to others about it, and they minimize it. Sort of like with sexual assault. Maybe if you go to someone, and that's one of the campaigns we're doing, is called Start by Believing, and we have these pledges that people can print off, and it basically says start by believing. If someone tells me they've been sexually assaulted, I will start by believing, instead of like trying to rational it out and be like, well, did you really, did this really actually happen? Or maybe you smiled at him or her, or maybe you made them assume. Yes means yes and no means no. I think that's exactly what it means. Is yes means yes and no means no. If someone asks for a cup of tea, you don't pour it down their throat if they say no. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think anyone wants a scalding cup of tea, like, forced on them. Just the same way when it comes to sexual assault. No one wants that. If you say no, no means no.
Exactly. So, just kind of close things down here on the program this week. Just to go over to things again, Wednesday, April 19th, things get started at 11 o'clock in the Student Center on the campus of Wayne State College.
Yep.
Some great presentations that'll be going on, and a lot of stuff still happening yet this month during Sexual Assault Awareness Month with the movie coming up on the 20th, and then also the self-defense class on April 30th, and kudos to the Wayne Martial Arts Center for taking the time to be a part of that as well. That's I think it's going to be a great tool for people in this community to protect themselves from that.
Definitely. And you can register through that. If we do have some spots, I think we just had 4 spots open up. havenhousefsc.com. You can go there, click on it, and register. And then also at your county courthouses, you'll probably notice some displays with flags. And the statistics with those is that in under 12 hours, there will be more sexual assaults that will occur in the U.S. than there are flags in those displays. And there's like 300 to 400 flags. So in under 12 hours, there's going to be more sexual assaults than there are flags in the ground at any of the courthouses. So that's just staggering to me. And
that's you did that at all the courthouses in the county?
So let me see here. All of them, Dixon has a different sort of display. Okay. Basically, it has like little ribbons on it, and it's inside. And the statistic on that is there's in under 6 hours there'll be more sexual assaults that will happen than there are little ribbons on. Like we have this giant ribbon with a bunch of little ribbons on it. And it looks pretty cool. But Cedar, Dakota, Thurston, and Wayne all have the flags on the ground. So if you see those, that's what that is. That's Haven House display. And our 24-hour crisis line number, if you are going through a domestic violence relationship or you've been sexually assaulted, give us a call. It's 1-800-440-4633. And that's 1-800-440-4633. And you can drop by our website, havenhousefsc.com. It stands for Family Services Center. And hit us up on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram. We're on there. So if you want to see what we're doing, we invite you to come and follow us as we're raising awareness and hopefully rescuing people from these different situations where they feel like there's no hope.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for talking with us this week, Josh, and best of luck on the rest of the month here.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Mike. Appreciate you doing this.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of The Voice of Wayne America, and I want to thank Josh Sievers, our outreach coordinator at Haven House. Their event is coming up next Wednesday, April 19th, beginning at 11 a.m. in the Student Center on the campus of Wayne State College. Check back to WayneAmerica.com as we continue to tell the stories of the people who make this the best town in all of America, and that's right here in Wayne America. Have yourselves a good week, and we'll see you later.